A. Shalom. Hello, we're reading from the writings of Bam, page 438 in the Hebrew book. Reading. The reading item 25 in the introduction to the book of Zohar. Find the study material in info, and on the Arot system, you can also send your questions through those websites. And anyone asking a question, and here in the study hall he's asked to stand up, hold the microphone close to his mouth, and speak loudly and clearly. Off on the item 25 in the introduction to the book of From here emerges the full resolution of the fifth inquiry, since the body is so corrupted that the soul cannot be fully purified before the body rots in the ground. Why does it return the revival of the dead? Also the question about the words of our sages, the dead are destined to be revived with their flaws, so it will not be said it is another, and you will clearly understand this matter from the of creation itself. From the first state said that since the thought was to delight his creatures, he had to create an overwhelmingly excessive will to receive all that bounty which is in the thought of creation. For the great delight and the great W to receive go hand in hand. Said in items 6 and 7 we stated that this excessive will to receive is all the new substance he had created, for he needs nothing more than that in order to carry out the thought of creation. It is the nature of the perfect operator not to perform redundant operations, as written in the poem of unification of all your work, not a thing you did you forget, omit, or add. Also said there that this excessive will to receive has been completely removed from the system of holiness, and was given entirely to the system of the worlds of impurity, from which extend the bodies, their sustenance, and all their possessions in this world. When one reaches 13 years of age, he begins to attain a holy soul through engaging in the Torah. That time he is nourished by the system of the worlds of holiness according to the greatness of the soul of holiness he has attained. He also said above that during the 6,000 years that are given to us for work, in no corrections from this come to the body, meaning the excessive will to receive in it. All the corrections that come through our work relate only to the soul which climbs through them on the degrees of holiness and purity. Only enhancement of the desire to bestow that extends with the soul. For this reason the body will ultimately die, be buried, and rot. Since it did not undergo any correction, it cannot remain that way, for if the excessive will to receive perished from the world, the thought of creation would not be realized, meaning the reception of all the great pleasures that he intended to bestow upon his creatures. For the great will to receive the great pleasure go hand in hand, and to the extent that the desire to receive it is so diminished, the delight and pleasure from reception. Are there any questions? No. Item 26. We've already stated that the first state necessitates the third state fully materialize, as was in the thought of creation in the first state, not omitting a single thing, as said in item 15. Therefore the first state it necessitates the revival of the dead bodies, means that their excessive will to receive, which had already been eradicated and rotted in the second state, must now be revived in all its exaggerated nature, without any restraints, meaning with all its past flaws. Then begins the work in new to invert that excessive W to receive to work only to, and then we will have doubled our gain. We will have place to receive all the delight and pleasure and gentleness in the thought of creation, since we would already have a body. Its greatly excessive will to receive, which goes hand in hand with these pleasures, to our reception in that manner would be only in order to bestow contentment upon our Maker. That reception would be regarded as complete bestow, and that would bring us to equivalence of form, which is attention, which is our form in the third state. The first state absolutely necessitates the revival of their dead. We heard all this corrections bring us to the degree of the soul, not to the body, which he calls the accessible to receive. Now here he says, nevertheless the successive body, which he calls it the will to receive, must be revived again, resurrected. The wife is going to disappear, must be corrected. I don't know, this is what he writes. That's it. A lot that we might think here, but this is what he says. Apparently we don't here know how the body is corrected and how the soul is corrected. Item 27. Indeed there cannot be revival for the dead, but only near the end of correction toward the end of the second state. Once we have been rewarded with denying our excessive to receive, and have been granted the will to only bestow, once we have been owed all the wonderful degrees of the soul to our work of negating this will to receive, we have come to the greatest perfection until the body could be revived with all its excessive will to receive. We are no longer harmed by it, being separated from our adhesion. On the contrary, we overcome it and give it the form of bestow. Indeed this is done corrupt quality that we wish to remove from it. One, we must completely remove it until there is nothing left of it. Two, next we can receive it again and conduct it in the middle way, but as long as we have not fully removed it is impossible to conduct it in the desired medium way. Are there any questions? Yes. What does it mean to remove? To remove completely. Well, to take out the reality of the will, disappear completely. So there's no such thing. It's our foundation, the will to enjoy, can remove it completely. This is what he writes. We need to move away from it, not to want to use or will to receive. So how will we enjoy? What will we enjoy? I don't know. He says that there is a will to bestow and the will to receive can enjoy from the will to bestow. These are things that we do not attain yet. Yes, we read about the excessive to receive. It's mentioned here several times. Also great pleasures, let to say eternal pleasures. What if a person feels that his will to receive is small? We're not talking about the will to receive that we feel here and now while we exist in this world, but rather this is about people who already have acquired this excessive great will to receive, and from there they come to corrections. And what is excessive and great in that it wants to enjoy, to fill itself. But let's say that even in that he feels himself small, too small for earning these great pleasures. He feels himself a small egoist. Yes, how will he receive these great pleasures? He needs to grow. We also hear that the Creator grows the desire. So how can a person be responsible for his desire as much as a person wants to correct the will to receive? In him he discovers more and more that the will to receive grows instead of diminishing until he reaches a state where the will to receive becomes excessive, as he says here. And he already continues through the light of the Torah to take care of the will to receive, corrected to be in order to be still, and he reaches his purpose. Yes, in the spiritual path we correct each time a small portion of the will to receive. That's true on the spiritual path. Well, starting from what point? Since crossing the bar from when a person enters spirituality, so he feels his will to receive growing all the time. And does he have constant corrections? Yes. So what is the correction? He correcting his intention in order to bestow the reforming light good each time he's making small corrections, small portions. Yes. So what is the revival of the dead if each time he was working on a small portion but will to receive grow, even though the person rises above it? Each time he corrects a small part he grows, and small corrects a small portion. Yes. And what is the revival of the dead? What to revive if each time he's correcting a small portion corrects his will to receive and inverts it to be in order to bestow, and by that he reaches a state where what he writes of the dead is a result of all the small corrections along the way, or is a small, it's an additional action after everything. The revival of the dead is an action that comes at the end of the corrections, when a person corrects himself and discovers that his will to receive was so excessive, so that he couldn't overcome it, and then the Creator corrects it, but he constantly has corrections. The Creator corrects him all the time. What's in the end that's not found along the way? Along on the ladder there is such a measure of the will to receive that is revealed to such an extent that the person is unable to rise above it to overcome it, and beforehand he was capable of doing it beforehand. Yes, of the previous degrees before the last one he was able to overcome the will to receive. What is this final action? What's happening in this final action? That the will to receive has grown to its final form, so the person is capable of overcoming it. And here already that is in each and every state. There is a certain association or participation here between the person and the creator, and by both of them together the will to receive is diminished after it grows, and on the last degree there the will to receive already does not diminish itself. One is incapable of it, and the creator does this work. In S, when you say the excess of alt receive that's revealed, is there a leap, like each time the ego grow, and in the N suddenly revealed its entirety. Know just that this degree is such that a person doesn't have the forces to overcome it. Why specifically in this action he lacks the powers. The will to receive reaches a state where is greater than all the previous desires, shows itself to a person in a way that the person sees that he doesn't have the possibility to overcome it, and then there's the revival of the dead on this action. Well, let's see what he will write here in the beginning to remove completely until the final. And the question is if we receive a small portion of the receive or remove it. Yes, and so on low we have to work with it, or we're simply removing it, and we're not working with it to receive until the end. All of the work is in that we don't use it. We discover how much it is unworthy for our work, so the ascent is constantly in. There are no corrections seemingly. These are the corrections. Again next you. Yes, read. Please. Item 28. Our sages said the dead are destined to be revived to their flaws and then be healed. This means that in the beginning the same body is revived, which is the excessive will to receive without any restraint, just as it grew under the structure of the worlds of impurity and have purified it in any way, and this is the meaning of in older flaws. Next we embark on a new kind of labor to insert all that excessive will to receive in the form of bestow, and then it is healed because now it contained equivalence of form. They said that the reason is so it will not be said it is. Another meaning, so it will not be said about it that it is in a different form than the one it had in the thought of creation. This is so because that excessive root to receive stands there, aiming to receive all the bounty in the thought of creation, but it is only that in the meantime it has been given to the shells for purification. In the end it must not be a different body. If it were diminished in any way it would be deemed entirely different, and thus unworthy of receiving all the bounty in the creation as it receives there in the manner of the first state. 29. Now we can resolve the above second inquiry. What is our role in the long chain of reality, of which we are but tiny links during the short span of our days? Know that our work during the 70 years of our days is divided in 4. First division is to obtain the excessive will to receive without restraints in its full corrupted measure from under the hands of the 4 impure worlds of Abia, since if we do not have that corrupted will to receive, we will not be able to correct it, for one cannot correct at which is not in him. The will to receive imprinted in the body at birth is insufficient, rather it must also be a vehicle for the impure shells for no less than 13 years. This means that the shells must control it and give it from their lights, for their lights increase it to receive, and that is because the fulfillments that the shells grant the will to receive only expand and enhance the demands of the world to receive. For example, at birth yes has a desire for only 100 and not more. When the other side provides the 100 will to receive immediately grows and wants 200. Then when the provides fulfillment for 200 the desire immediately expands and wants 400 if one does not overcome it through to and purifies the to receive to turn it into bestow on will to receive expands throughout one's life until eventually he dies without obtaining but half his wishes, and this is regarded as being under the authority of the and the shells, whose role goal is to expand and enhance to receive and make it exaggerated and completely unrestrained to provide one with all the material he needs to work with and correct what are their shells the will to receive that is in order to receive and has no limits. It says there's this fulfillment. They're called the other side, so the shells are like a vessel and there's a filling called the other side. What is that the will to receive, the will to receive that constantly grows and wants to fill itself up, and this is how it lives and grows if a person doesn't work on it, doesn't correct it. To what I read, it's a necessary part of the process of correction, meaning a person has to get through this thing called clip shells, yes, from it. He received the other side, and then there's a situation where on the one hand he must have it, on the other hand, it risks him, it does not overcome it through and purifies the world to receive, to turn it into best. One's will to receive expands throughout one's life until eventually he dies with obtaining half his wishes. He gets stuck on this place he has to go through forever, mean he can be stuck there forever, doesn't appear there, he says, if it doesn't overcome through purifies the will to receive, to turn it into bestow. One's will to receive expands throughout one's life until eventually he dies without obtaining but half his wishes. This is regarded as being under the authority of the SHES. So what will determine if a person can overcome through what are but? It's a question, but what determines if he can overcome them or get stuck in that stage? This is what is written, as much as we understand it from our state well. That's how much we will understand, and as much as we don't. You want that while we're maybe 1,000 degrees below what he's writing about. You want to understand what he's writing about. It's something we can point to in our state and say this is that. This is something we can do. Our will to receive in order to receive is called SHRs, meaning those are on spiritual path. Yes, during our preparation for receiving the quality of a stow, we are seemingly in the cot. Yes, we're in the shells, not quite where we are. SHS are states that are much worse, but we are already in it. More questions and none again are yes. Division, there's no correction, only to acquire the excessive W to receive. Yes, and we're talking about the spiritual desire. Right before a person attains the entire exaggerated will to receive, he's always in the seapot. He doesn't correct anything. The shells are actually the desires that have to enter every person according to the root of his soul as much as they're able to enter him, and they build the person. What's strange is that there's no correction. Well, there will be a correction later on, but the way there is no correction, well, there is a correction on the path, but the first stage is that the person must be under the control of the shells. Thank you. Okay, what does it mean that he's filled by the shells? They bring him a thing. What kind of thing? A thing, the will to receive. We said the will to receive are their shells are the will to receive in order to receive. Yes, so to F the will to receive in order to receive what FS it is called the shall. Think about it. SHA sure. What is the difference between the Creator's desire to bestow goodness to the created being in the first state and his desire to benefit a created being in the third state? Creator's desire is always one to bring the created beings to the complete correction. W Women P23, it says that the first state necessitates the revival of the dead. What does that mean? Along the way to the complete correction, the desires of a person must show themselves as corrupted. A person must that, and later on he should correct them specifically in the first state. No, not in the first state, but through the entire way from Mo, it says, and because of that the destiny of the body is to die, to be buried, and to rot. What does it mean, the rotting of the body? Does it mean the WTRSE for itself, and not the beastly body? Of course, the will to receive must undergo corrections in that the person discovers how bad it is, how contemptible it is, how much it is his enemy, and to that extent he distances himself from using it, from the smallest desires to the greatest desires, and later on he even receives desires to correct the will to receive, so that the person asks for forces in order to correct it and invert it to a will to bestow. Women, are we correcting our soul first in the study, and then the body? Is there a difference between correcting the soul and correcting the body? There's no such thing that we correct the body, we correct the soul, we correct the will to receive. That is revealed as in order to receive, and through the reforming light we correct it to be in order to bestow. Okay, can if the intention grows, does that mean that the will to receive Grows, everything depends on the intention, okay? So no, not using the in order to receive actually grows the to bestow, not using without using the will to receive. When the person is not receiving for himself, it grows in him the will to bestow. I wouldn't say that. So what's the connection between the intention and the desire? I want to grow my desire to bestow. So then you have to pray that the Creator will assist you in increasing your desire to bestow, your intention to bestow, overcoming the will to receive. But the immediate thing I can do is to want to, not to receive, to close myself. Does that also grow the will to bestow? These are two systems, okay? Thank you. Oh, hope yes. Kes receive, expanding throughout the years of his life until a person dies without obtaining but half his wishes. So he's telling us a process that we have to go through, and that is in order to produce for person all the material has to work in and correct. In other words, this process is for the benefit of men, as he writes. Yes, now we learn that we need to ask to pray. What are we asking for? If a person is in inside a process which is generally positive one, and he's advancing, and when he's in this process discovers some unpleasantness in the world, to receive, what is he asking for? Will to receive, only to be enlarged and filled. If you're talking about the will to receive, if you're talking about a person, that's something else. In a person there's also the will to bestow, the feeling of the Creator. These are other results already in the request when we ask how do we because as we read here, there is a very positive process, that essential process he describes here, that the will to receive has to develop and reach what we call it all of its full weight. I'm not sure how to call it, not to bring into our requests any complaints or disagreement. How can we ask but and also agree at the same time, is my question. Correct, I don't know exactly, I don't understand, meaning if I ask for something, how can I make sure that maybe I'm in a point where I disagree with something, but rather I can't do it and ask him to change it. Here he's telling us that we are in a process which is necessary, mandated, and it's good for us asking, where we ask how do we not bring in any complaints, but rather ask and agree with the process. We agree with the process because the Creator created us this way. He wants us to go through it, but it's not like I'm happy about it and I'm asking for this process. I'm asking for one thing only, that is to overcome the W to receive in me. I want to get rid my will to receive, yes, and what he writes here is that nevertheless the will to receive in me is essential in order to go through the process. So why would I ask to get rid of it? Nevertheless, you have to grow in it, feel it, and understand it, and work with it. So I should ask that it will be revealed even more. I will to receive. That's natural, that's how we are asking. Naturally, what? Okay, thanks. Again, after we completely remove the access, he will to receive is the correction then done at once, meaning reaching equivalence of form. No, all the corrections are gradual. Wherever you reveal something, there you correct it. Said you answered one of the questions, and you said that on the way to the complete correction, that is, desires of a person must show themselves as corrupted, and a person must discover it, then he corrects them. Question is, what does it mean that the person discovers these corrupted desires? What does it mean that he asks for correction? A person reveals his corrupt desires and corrects them by turning to the Creator, and the Creator correct them. How does he detect that they are corrupted? They are revealed in this way, is opposite to the purpose of creation, and a person discovers them when he does according to the degree of his revelation. He sees that these people are in the wrong, these desires are in the wrong role, and then he asks the Creator to correct them. What I understood from the text is that if a person does not correct, but rather he chases pleasures, he receives 100, he now 200. The will to receive grows, but if he corrects them, the desire also grows. So it grows either way. The receive must grow if a person corrects it, and each time the receive grows, a person corrects it, and that's how he climbs through good path, the path of bestow to the Creator. And if he doesn't correct, it grows more and more. The person fails to correct it, and then person dies, as it's written, would only have his desires fulfilled. Sound like he'll still advance, or would he have to repeat everything on the same in the same way that the will To receive grows, a person corrects it, or he's under its control grows, but he didn't correct it. Rather, he went along with it. Will he have to repeat everything from the beginning, or it's not written for now? Nothing like that is written. The question remains the topic. If a person dies, the desire that he had is not filled, so do we have to fill the desire in order to correct it? I guess that same desire enters into other people, exists in them, gets corrected. If it is corrected, it means that we filled this desire in the right way. Yes, so we also have a question. Does it mean to get rid of the will to receive? Does it mean to change the intention of the desire? Yes. What is the difference between a desire that I know that it exists inside of me and its negative, that same desire where it has already been actualized, realized in the society? I don't know what it means to be realized in the society in order to best know the opposite in order to receive, but towards others I have a desire within me, let's say for control, and there is a state where it is dormant inside of me, and there is a state where it is actually doing something bad. What is the difference between these two relations? That depends on your own recognition of evil. Can we say that the desire inside of me which is dormant I shouldn't operate with because I can't identify it exactly, and the correction is according to how you identify the bad in you, but it should be directed towards lack of correction in the society, in the connection with others, or in generally speaking. Yes, Mark 4. Please, you started to talk about the recognition of evil. Have a question. Is the enlargement of the will to receive related to recognition of evil? As the will to receive grows, accordingly his evil inclination grows, and also his recognition of evil grow, and his ability to correct the evil grows in order to reach a complete enough that it will be revealed inside of the person. Or does it require a connection between a certain number of desires in order for the will to receive see itself all its final form? We need to prepare our vessels for it, because it's not enough for me to want it to happen. Like a small child, I need to be ready. I need to be prepared to receive the W to receive, and now that it drops me into it entirety, I have to rely on environmental forces, external forces, in order to receive support and help, and to ask for the world to bestow. So there will be something with which to balance this growing will to receive. Person feels his desire, and then he has a certain amount of recognition of evil. This considered as a flaw or a lack. It's still on the way. It's keep going. It's always good to control, to receive, and to see where you can turn it. No, like driving a horse, riding a horse, that is to correct all the desires that are revealed in me in the direction of pistol. Yes, key 1. How to correctly behave with the will to receive, to manage it, to balance, like you said, with the will to bestow. Need to arrange oneself facing the Creator and wanting to receive from him both the good and the bad equally, which is tough, and work with whatever you're receiving in order to bestow. Do I position myself face to face with the Creator? It's hard to hear. I'm sorry. The how does the will to receive of a person become purified completely? How a person's will to receive, which is purification, how is it purified entirely? How do we do it? By praying to the Creator together with the 10 is walking forward and receiving the reforming light, and then his will to receive is corrected. Generally speaking, you can say that we learned, let's say, to come above, let's say, our corrupted states. So we discover our corrupted states, and we come above it all the time. Many times we can achieve this, but now we come to such an excessive state that we cannot. What is this point where we fail to correct it? What must we do? Then ask the Creator to give us strength. We have no one else to turn to but the Creator. Ask the Creator to give us strength, correct us, aim us, and that's how the go. Can we call that the also the failing, not asking the Creator? Yes, certainly. And in that state, what can we do? We don't turn to the Creator. Beginning of all failures, that's the cause of all failures. The reason for all of them is that the turning point. You need to come to that. You don't ask the Creator in certain moment. Person starts turn to the Creator. It's already a good sign. It's a good state. Okay, thank you. Forger a what is the procedure of correction if I have a will to receive. For myself, do I have to want all friends to feel it? I don't have to disclose it. There are states where maybe I should, but I have to turn it into in order to bestow. How do I turn to the Creator in prayer request for Him to turn my W to receive in order to receive into W to receive with the intention of in order to bestow? How does help us achieve the soul in the third state? Help us attain the soul in the third state. All of their degrees climb them only to the extent that we connect and we incorporate into one another, and to the extent that we get closer to the Creator. B1. About managing the do I understand correctly that this actually means the building of a screen? Building of a screen, yes. Building of the screen, yes. The recognition of evil is the first degree in the correction of the bad, and next degrees what are the correction? Is it to raise a prayer? Or what else do we need to? Do we need to understand in what way are we overcoming the revelation of this evil? In what way are we asking the Creator to turn our evil into good, and so on and so forth? These are the degrees. Good morning, good morning. World is a structure of body and soul, and the connection between them. Here we read in many items, I don't want to, but many items talk about it, that you think the person, the body, finishes at 70 years, and it is perished, disappears in order to leave room for the soul to continue in its way. The new body which is created, that was created in order to complete a correction, is this connection that the shells give us. They connect the soul which has already been corrected, and the new body which is born with new qualities, new desires. Yes. PT 6. Would I ask the Creator for anything before I reached restriction? Because anyway, whatever He'll give me, I'll take it for myself. So first I have to have restriction. No. Yes. In order to reach how do we reach restriction? Woman, I heard in the beginning of the lesson that you answered the friend, and until the barrier, we don't have a will to receive in this kind of work that we read about. Now my question is whether we can do we even make perform any corrections before the barrier? Everything is corrections. So my question is, by what does the Creator bring us to the barrier? A barrier is some form of a beginning of a spiritual ascent. Help free woman, the more we have recognition of evil in prayer, do we have a greater chance that we will harm the friends less, or the internality can hurt the friends even that way. Both how we prepare ourselves to the will to receive and not be out on the opportunity to turn to the Creator for correction. That's only in a group where we learn from one another. Main thing in the group work, that as we advance towards the end of the path, the group work becomes a higher, more special, more Ext. I heard you answered blood from K. You told him that we need to ask the Creator to accept equally the bad as well as the good. Can we ask for the bad as well as the good? Because the Creator is good and doing good. No, we need to ask only for the good. How could a person ask for bad? Exactly. What does it mean that we are willing to receive from the Creator both the bad and the good? Equally, we are willing to receive everything from the Creator only as long as He sends us something. In this way, we can approach Him. It's a relative thing that we recede the bad. We receive only the good. You can't receive the bad from the Creator. It's not clear. Maybe she can ask again. Please ask again. Repeat, please. 28. It said that the new work begins the excessive desire. The excessive will to receive connects with the will to bear. This new work begins each time that we discover the corrupted will to receive. Or what's this meaning? That text I didn't understand the question asking about. Then next we embark on a new kind of labor to insert all that excessive will to receive in the form of pistol. Then it is healed. So what's the question? So the question is, this new work, it begins when other corrupted state is revealed. What is he trying to tell us? Here she's talking about the corruption. Does the new work start each time that the corruption is revealed, and the will to receive? Or maybe that it means something else here. Yes. How can I reach detecting the desire that grows within me as a spiritual desire? What actually is a spiritual desire? A spiritual desire is a desire for connection with the friends. humanity, the creator, into one single system. Nothing leaves that. Everything, nothing exists outside of it. Everything exists in that system, and a person is willing to bestow to that system everything it needs. This is called a spiritual desire. Okay, he says that a person does not die. We have his wishes in his hands, the end of the work it's called. The other half we get. What is a full, what is the complete? A last or wish that person needs all. The full shekel that we have to reach, I don't know wholly, she a certain measure. Person needs to raise toward the upper force, emphasis, so much the half, innocent half, guilty, the other half the creator completes. Why does it have to be exactly a half? It says that he dies with only half his wishes or half the shek. What's special about half? Only a person is capable of that. What does it mean? The person can only do that. That's how it is. We'll learn about it for the time being. Remember that. Okay, what are we doing next? We also have to. You want to let it go? No, we can continue also to item 30 if you want. Let's continue to item 30. So we are in it. 30. The second division is 13 years and on. At that point, or at that time, the point in his heart, which is the posterior of the soul of Qatar, is even strength, although it is dressed in his will to receive it. Birth, it only begins to awake. Can after 13 years for the above said reason, and then one begins to enter the authority of the words of K, meaning to the extent that one engages NT, and the primary aim of that time obtain and increase the spiritual will to receive, since at birth one has only a will to receive for corporality, although one has obtained the excessive will to receive before he turned 13. It is still not the completion of the growth of the will received, for the primary growth of the will to receive is only with respect to spirituality. This is because, for example, prior to turning 13, one's will to receive wishes to devour all the wealth and respect in this corporal world. This is evidently not an eternal world for all of us. It is but the fleeting shadow. But when one obtains the excessive spiritual will receive, every one wishes to devour one's own delight, all the wealth and delight in the next eternal world, which is an eternal possession for him. The majority of the excessive will to receive is completed only with the desire to receive spirituality. Questions, or maybe read it again. I'll read item 30 again. The second division is from 13 years and on. The point in his heart, the posterior of the soul of K, is given strength, although it is dressed in his will to receive at birth, only begins to awaken after 13 years for the above said reason, and then one begins to enter the authority of the worlds. To the extent that one engages, their primary aim at that time is to obtain and enlarge the spiritual will. Since birth one has only a will to receive for corporeality. Therefore, although one has obtained the excessive will to receive before he turned 13, is still not the completion of the growth of the will to receive, and the primary growth of the will to receive is with respect to spirituality. This is because, for example, prior to turning 13, one's will to receive wished to devour all the wealth and respect in this corporeal world. This is evidently not an eternal world, and for all of us it is but a fleeting shadow. One obtains the excessive spiritual will to receive, then one wishes to devour all one's own delight, all the wealth and delights in the next eternal world, which is an eternal possession for him. Majority of the excessive will to receive is completed only with the desire to receive spirituality. Can questions the successive will to receive through what we're doing between us in a work right now? I don't know. Try when do we reach this excessive will to receive after we enter spirituality, or before that? What does he write? I don't manage to understand it. What are you going to tell him? When does a person receive an excessive receive? No, I joined his question because the moment that I've entered the process of correction, everything around that I no longer relate to female feelings, it's not important for me anymore. I just put it aside. So what is excessive really? What is an excessive will to receive mean? It's be without any limits. Why, according to this order, why, when we see that the richest People come here, the most famous ones, the ones with the greatest passions, or lust in this world, because you know, if I didn't manage to achieve it, maybe I'll get something here. But what did? They have says here until the age of 13. Person searches for all of their corporal last, so they come after they found that there's nothing. They're not making it. How much money can a person want? How much honor, publicity a person our desire for that is practically limitless. What do you mean? A person's will to receive wants everything, control, money. Honor says that from 13 years and on he already wants a spiritual desire. It's not like only wants a spiritual desire, actually, and the other desires also start to grow. Yes, they grow like that, intermittently. How do we clean it so it's only spiritual? But there isn't something all spiritual here for the time being. The fact that he has an excessive W to receive for all of men's pleasures, it's not a spiritual will to receive. He says that the main aim, the main role of that time after 13 years is to obtain and increase the spiritual will to receive. That's the task of someone in whom the point in heart awakens, saying how do we obtain and increase the spiritual will to receive? We don't feel it. What is the spiritual will to receive? I don't know. Let me first know what is spiritual. So what is he writing about here? What state is he writing about? He writing about a state that we probably need to reach, but when after we realize the entire world to receive the corporal will to receive that's in us, how can we implement it? He says that the second division from 13 years onwards is when the forces are given to the point in the heart, which gives him the posterior soul of him, and then the person goes and wants to fill this desire to receive. So whoever came to study the wisdom of Ab, they still didn't waken up in them. No, just like that a person just knocks on the door and enters something that doesn't say anything. What desire leads us here to sit here, correct? Something that you think that you'll somehow find something here in life, but that's still not the second division. So that's only when a person already knows what a spiritual I'll receive is. Yes, where all I want is spirituality. And what's spirituality? Connection with others, help, mutual help, in order to attain the Creator. But until age 13 it's only the corporeal will to receive, and even in the spiritual will to receive, like he writ here, this is not the completion of the desire to receive, where most of its maturity is to receive it only. Spirituality, no, that specific reality can. Yes, are there two types of will to receive, one corporeal and one spiritual? No, it's the desire to receive that a person discovers both to here and to there. In development, first there's a draw towards corporeality and then spirituality. Usually, thank you. Okay, yes, what does it mean to implement a corporal W to receive? I won't be rich already or famous. Who knows? So what it really means practically to realize it according to their desire, and if I don't have that desire, so it means I didn't implement the corporeal will to receive. Person advances according to his desire. So for whatever you have a desire, that's what you're going to try to get to. That's it. So you discover that you want money. The other one is honor. The third one is control, etc. So according to that you advance. So each one has his own level, also his latter, his level, but also his characteristics, his qualities, money, knowledge, honor, all those. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna wait for you. So it feels like we're in some kind of waiting room, and we already know it advance. Who's going to be next in line into the spiritual world? I don't know who that's clear to the Creator. It's clear. Well, okay, yes, this, yes. So what are we doing for now? Just playing, or do we have anything to do? How to speed up the records that awaken in each one? What are we doing here? How do we actually work? You stand in line in order to enter the groups, and together with the groups you continue to stand in line in order to enter the absorption room for the Creator. Except for waiting in line, can we do something active that will change how we're advancing, how he brings us in? Of course, each to the extent in which what he invests. And what do you mean invest? Cause be that our investment now is to increase our will to receive, and we have no control over it. It's the only thing we can advance and we can awaken. The point in the heart, that second state, before the first state, we don't exactly know by which of our actions we can advance more and in what direction, but we need to try in all the directions and in all the ways. We skip over the first state, the first division, and go into the second division. I don't know what it means to skip. It could be that. Yes, so what can we do to help us advance? Connection between us. Why, what does it do? It's with certainty that it makes from each of us a bigger desire to receive, and accordingly, by the way, all not only bigger, but also in a more spiritual characteristic, because he wants to connect with the friends above his desire to receive. So if he tries to perform such an action, for him this is truly an action that takes him out of this place, from this world to the spiritual world, as much as the work in connection increases the corporeal W to receive. Could we say that also thanks to that, the spiritual W to receive will grow in a person even though he doesn't pay attention to it? Yes, Ken, right at the end, that the main to receive doesn't end, but only reaches spirituality. So I understand that. But when the fact that we have that spiritual W to receive, that's not the end of the path, right? It's just a different degree. Let's see, I'm just asking if I understood this correctly. It's not that we're saying that to the next stage. Thank you. So what is telling us that we want to reveal the evil and we want to get rid of the evil and we're searching for the light. And suddenly when we go into spiritual world it gets worse. That's how you understood it. What do you want from me? Because I understand you increase the W to receive. We try to run from it. We search for the light. We are not running away from the desire to receive. You can't run away from it. We just understand that we can use it more correctly, that the preparation period, we want to reveal the evil in us, and from revealing the evil we run. We want to run from it to reach bestow, and when we reach bestow we discover, oh, that the desire is even bigger and bigger. Okay, so that's how it is. Well, my question is how? By the Creator turning on the light and showing us that we have even more maggots in us, so a person doesn't get scared by it. Let's say I don't know what to tell you. The fact that a person gets scared or not, that I don't know. He get scared. How can he hold on? Then he runs away. He's scared. That's why I'm asking, when a person won't run, how? 'Cause he comes here to be corrected, but when he's shown worse things, so what helps him? What gives him the forces to withstand this? Probably the Creator nevertheless sustains him all. Right, no may. Okay, well, quickly want to continue. Why, I can't see everyone, which says you go into the room where everybody's rich and smart and happy, and if I walk into a room where everybody's smart or rich, that means I came to the right group. Probably, yes, I don't know. Is there a connection between them? Are they coming closer to one goal and so on? Yeah, everybody's working towards the same goal. Help his friend. Is that a state that I'm in and I live in? That means I entered the group. Yes, okay, that's it. So let's leave it. We'll move to the next part of the lesson and we'll sing a song. First, face after face, race after race, from one cage to another, after mask, task after task, lost in the sense. Through you there's a cry, through you there's a light, a place to be discovered. Through you there's a way. Together we pray to rise to see the face of love through our eyes. Together as one, and now we arise, and every word and echo from the sky breaking the walls. Hearts unite, and in you I see a picture of me. Through you I find my flaws. Through there's a key, a place where we can open doors. Together we why the fire it burns, a chance to feel alive, a song from the heart singing that love will come, our cry to see the face of love through your eyes. Together as one, and now we arise, and every word and echo from where sky breaking the wall. Hearts unite, la, to see the face of love through your eyes. Together as one, now we arise, and every word and echo from the sky breaking the wall. Hearts, you know, oh, we are reading from the writings of article what is the preparation on the eve of that in the work. Again, the writings of what is the preparation on the eve of Shabbat in the work. Study materials are on all our websites. Sages, said in the future the Creator brings a book of Torah and places it in his bosom. He says to those who engaged in it, "Come take your reward." Promptly idol worshippers gather and come. The Creator says to them, "And what did you engage?" Creator says to them, "All that you did for yourselves." They say to him, "Master of the world, give us in advance, and we will do." The Creator says to them, "Fools, he who toils on the eve of Shabbat, he who did not to you on the eve of Shabbat, from where will he eat on Shabbat?" There are many explanations in the literal, but in the work, what is the toil on the eve of Shabbat? From which to have what to eat on Shabbat. We see that Shabbat is called a gift and not or charity. Es just said to know that I, the Lord, sanctify you. The Creator said to Moses, "Moses, I have a good gift in my treasury. Its name is Shabbat. I want to give it to Israel. Go tell them." That brings evidence from here that one who gives a gift to his friend should notify him. There are two things to understand here. What is the reason that we should notify when give a gift, whereas concerning charity we learn the opposite, that charity should be in concealment, as it is written, "Giving in concealment subdus anger." Why is Shabbat called a gift, whereas faith is called charity, as it is written, "And he believed in the Lord, and considered him as righteous," and not a gift? We should understand what is a gift and what is charity in the work. Normally one gives charity out of pity and not out of love, as our sages said, "Does not check with nourishments." It is so, because charity is not given out of love, when we should check if we should really give or not. In charity the pity determines whether or not to give, since one who says that he has no food, meaning nothing with which to sustain himself, evokes pity. They said that we do not check with nourishment to see if he is an honest person or a cook. This is what he said. There says we check clothes and do not check with nourishment. Rashi interprets clothes as he came naked and said, "Cover me." Then he is examined to see if he is not a crook, since clothing does not evoke any pity, because a person can live without clothes but cannot live without food. Firstly, a gift is sometimes we give specifically to those we love. The value of the gift is measured by the measure of love for that person and by the importance of that person. Normally one who wants to show his love to another expresses it by giving a gift according to the value of their gift. So appears the measure of love. There is another value to a gift. If the sender is an important person, the love cannot be measured according to the gift, since with an important person even a small gift is valuable. With an important person the gift is measured by the importance and greatness of their giver. Now we can understand the difference between charity and a gift. With a gift, when he wants to show his love for his friend or his teacher or his parents or children, if the giver does not notify him that he has given him the gift, how will the receiver find out about the giver's love for him? This would make giving the gift pointless, in vain. However, there is another condition about a gift. The thing he gives must be an accessory and not a necessity. Usually we do not say, "I sent this poor man a gift of bread and fish for Shabbat." We so do not say, "I sent the groom a gold watch," as charity. Rather, a gift is specifically an accessory and a charity is a necessity and not an accessory, sending him accessories to which the other has no necessity. Why did he send it? It is in order to show him his love. It follows that if he does not notify him that he has sent him, what is the point of their gift? This is why our sages said he who gives a gift to his friend must notify him. He does not have to notify him that he has sent him the gift, but also the value of their gift, since according to the value of the gift so is the measure of love revealed between them, since to the extent that the receiver is impressed by the gift, so is his measure of gratitude, and by this the connection of love between them forms charity. There's no matter of love, since charity concerns only the giver and he has no connection to the receiver. Though it is to the contrary, if there is say, "Thanks the giver," then the giver is no longer giving charity, but there is room to grip onto the charity which is and receive gratitude for him. Evidently a charity must be in concealment, meaning only for the purpose of charity and not that the poor will give him some pleasure in return concerning giving in concealment, as in the commandments of charity we should discern two manners. 1. The first is simple. The receiver of the charity does not know the identity of the giver to the giver. 2. Does not know to whom he gives. This is giving in concealment both on the part of the giver and on the part of the receiver. Now we can understand the meaning of a gift and charity in the work means going above reason. This is regarded as not seeing, and it is called in concealment. Faith is also called charity, because the person giving the charity does not want the poor to give him anything in return. A person who has nothing, which is why he is poor, cannot give anything to the giver of the charity, but he could return him gratitude for their charity. This is why they said charity that is in concealment is called true or real charity, since the poor does not know whom to thank. Therefore one who takes upon himself the kingdom of heaven, called faith in the Creator, should try to make it giving in concealment, so that a person will not know with his intellect, regarded as not knowing for whom he works, but he is rather working above reason. However, here the matter is to the contrary, since when a poor man receives charity, the receiver does not know who gave him the charity, but the giver does know. However, there is another manner too, where the giver also does not know to whom he gives. Conversely, with faith, which is called charity, it is as it is written, and he believed in the Lord and considered to him as charity or righteousness. This is the complete opposite, which is called poor and meager, as written in that Mal is called poor and meager because she has nothing of her own except that which her husband gives her. That is, has nothing of herself except what her husband gives her. Follows that the person giving or charity to the Creator, which is called faith, does not know to whom he gives, but the Creator does know who is the giver, meaning from whom he received their charity, that is the poor, knows, and the giver, namely the person, does not know to whom he gives. This is called the kingdom of heaven, and it was said about it, and he believed in the Lord and considered it to him as charity. In other words, the faith must be as charity, which is giving and concealment. Otherwise it is not considered faith, but known, meaning knowing in the intellect. Now we should interpret what the interpreters ask about the words, and he believed in the Lord and considered it to him as theirs charity. The question is, we do not know who thought to whom. According to the rule we learned, he alone does and will do all the deeds. Hence the question is, what does a person do with his choice? If the Creator does everything, where is there room for choice, which is man's work said in the name of that before the fact? A person should say, if I'm not for me, who is for me, since everything depends on man's choice. But after the fact we should say, it is all under the Creator's guidance, and he must not say, my strength and the might of my hand have gotten me success. Rather, even if he did not prevail, he would still do it, because it was the Creator who did it. This is regarded as a person having to believe in private providence. We should make two discernments in the faith of the Creator, which is called charity. 1. A person overcomes and takes upon himself the burden of the kingdom of heaven and makes charity to the Creator by believing above reason. This is called giving and concealment. It is also called charity because no reward is requested from the poor when the charity is given to him. The poor does not know who gave him, so it could be said that the giver of the charity to the poor can expect any reward, since the giver does not know to whom he gave. Here with faith, the person assumes the kingdom of heaven not in order to receive a reward. It is like a poor man. Accordingly, this means that when Abraham believed in the Lord, he gave him to. We should note that the Creator made a charity to Abraham that is after the work of overcoming. Person should say that the Creator does and will do all the deeds. Follows that the Creator gave Abraham the power to overcome above reason, which is called charity. This for Abraham to have the strength to give the charity is regarded as the Creator giving the charity to Abraham. The words we do not know who considered to whom mean that initially Abraham thought that by believing he is giving charity to the Creator. After the fact he said that the Creator considered giving the power of faith so he could believe in a manner of charity. The Creator contemplated giving him the SDR, hence he had the strength to believe. By this we will understand why faith is called charity, and charity is named after both. It follows that in the work a gift means Torah, it is called mat gift as it is written from. Also Shabbat is called a gift, said that the Creator said, I gave a good gift in my treasury, its name is Shabbat. Go tell them. We should understand why tea is called a gift and Shabbat is called a gift as well. It is known that the purpose of creation is to do good to his creations. For the purpose of attention a restriction was made so that the light and pleasure illuminates only to vessels that have equivalence with the light, meaning vessels that work in order to bestow this matter was done, since there should be equivalence of form. Without it, the receiver becomes remote from the giver, to the point that the creatures that descended to this world due to disparity of form became removed from the root and do not know their origin. That is, the creatures must believe that they come from the Creator, but they do not know from where they come. This is as it is written in the essay, the preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. Thus you find that this niche, this soul, which is the light of life, that is dressed in the body, extends from his very essence, existence. From existence it traverses the four worlds. It becomes increasingly distant from the light of his face until it comes into its designated vessel called goof, body. This is considered that the Seali has completed its desirable form, and even if the light in it has so diminished that its origin becomes undetectable through engagement in order to bring contentment to the Maker, one cleanses one's Seali called goof until it becomes worthy of receiving the abundance by observing to in order to bestow. They receive vessels of stow where there is a place capable of receiving the light called his desire to do good to his creations. This is called a gift. That is, faith is regarded as a person giving by overcoming the thoughts in the body and believing in the Creator. This is why it is considered that the person is giving, and why faith is called charity. A gift is where a person takes that what the Creator gives him, and charity is the complete opposite. That a person gives charity to the Creator, and the Creator is the receiver. As we explained above, a gift is called accept. That is, the person can live without the gifts to charity. For the poor means precisely necessity, since without food it is impossible to live. For this reason, since it is impossible to be Jewish without faith, it follows that faith is regarded as necessity. However, it is possible to be Jewish without Torah, although you would be considered uneducated, meaning one who has not been rewarded with the Torah, called the names of the Creator, where the delight and pleasure called his desire to do good to his creations is clothed. Also it is written, a soul without is also not good. Sages said, there is no good but the Torah, and as it's written, for I have given you a good lesson, my Torah, do not leave it. Nonetheless, he has already considered Israel. Now we can understand why the Torah is called a gift, since the Creator is the giver, as it is written, I have given you a good lesson, my Torah, do not leave it. Also it is regarded as accessory, meaning that it is possible to be Jewish without the T2, as long as one is rewarded with faith, which is charity. For without faith it is impossible to be Jewish. For this reason, faith is called charity, and Torah is regarded as the Creator being the giver of the gift. Also Shabbat is called a gift, as well as our sages said Shabbat is a similitude of the next world, and as they also said Shabbat was given to Israel for lure and for rest, but not for sorrow. Now we can understand what we asked. What is the preparation on the eve of Shabbat in the work? Normally only is asked for, and one does not check without food. I'm sorry, check with food, but rather anyone who stretches his hand is given. We explained about this. The faith is called assuming the burden of the kingdom of heaven, that anyone who stretches out his hand is given. It is as it is written, you lend a hand to the transgressors, and your right is stretched out to welcome the returning. This is because concerning necessity our sages said, anyone who sustains one soul from Israel, it is as though he has sustained a whole world. This is not so with a gift. Usually people do not ask for gifts. Instead, when we love someone and want to express the love, so it becomes known to the other that we love him, we send him. Gifts also the value of the gift reflect the measure of love, meaning the value of the gift is as the measure of the love. This reason, when a person wants his friend to send him gifts, he must exert to do things that his friend will like, so he will love him. Love does its thing, and by this he will receive gifts from his friend. However, it is not accepted to ask for gift. By this we will understand what we asked. What is the trouble on the eve of Shabbat in the work? It is that a person takes upon himself the kingdom of heaven called charity. A person must ask the Creator because there was a restriction and concealment, so we do not feel the Creator within. Reason must accept the faith above reason, and since the body disagrees to what the reason does not mandate, person is in exile within self-love and cannot understand how he can emerge from this exile. This is called the exile in Egypt. It was said about this, I the Lord your God who brought you out from the land of Egypt. Only the Creator himself can change our nature and deliver us from self-love to love of the Creator, and only then can we observe and you shall love the Lord your God. Request that a person makes to be given the power of faith is called charity. It is as we pray, we say, and we shall have charity because we will observe and do all of the mitzvah before the Lord your God, our God, and he commanded, as also said about one mitzvah or about this mitzvah, that it pertains to the mitzvah of faith. Thus it means that we say to the Creator that if we have the strength to do all of this, that is that it will be charity on the part of the Creator if he gives us the power of faith above reason, which is called an act because it is above our reason. It is called an act. Follows that the work that a person should do and toil on the eve of Shabbat so as to have what to eat on Shabbat means that it is known what is customary in the world, that a person troubles himself only to obtain things that give him delight and pleasure. We see that there are people who work 2 jobs or work extra hours beyond what they have to work according to the days and hours that the state has determined. Each one earns a salary according to his hours and his skills, yet some work more than others. Clearly by this he wants to obtain something he wants, and this is the reward that gives him the energy to work, that is according to the measure of reward that he expects. So is his energy to work. Our sages said that it is like the work and the meal. The meal is regarded as the reward. Therefore they said, he who did not toil on the eve of Shabbat, which is the time to prepare the ingredients of the meal, and did not prepare the ingredients of the meal, from what will he eat? As the ingredients are certainly labor and toil, it therefore follows that since Shabbat is a gift called a meal, and it is customary that one who is having a meal invites only those he loves, the ingredients of the meal will mean preparation so as to be invited to the meal. This is so because from the perspective of the Creator a person does not give to the Creator any help with the meal. Instead, a person can do to prepare the meal is to have himself invited. He can do this in only one way, by doing good deeds that the Creator will like, so the Creator will love him. We say, who chooses his people Israel with love. This means that the Creator chooses his people Israel, but the question is, what is Israel? It is taking upon oneself faith. This is called is, and all the preparation is the labor to become Israel. Thank you to the reader. Anything urgent to ask about? What? How can it be that faith is called charity? Charity has given to someone who's poor. Does it turn out that the Creator is poor? Someone who is lacking faith, he is called poor, and then you give it to him. Yes, but he says that a person needs to take upon himself the burden of the kingdom of heaven, and he's in faith, he's giving it to the Creator. It turns out that the Creator is the poor one who needs the charity. Why not? Doesn't work out for me because it was the Creator necessitating chairs. That's why I'm in faith. Reason, yes, kind of contradicting anything that you want to give the Creator. And what can you give him on their behalf? Something that he does not have. What is that? Vessels of reception. How do I give vessels of reception? What's the connection between faith and giving vessels of reception? Because faith is a force that helps you. By faith on our behalf gives the Creator a way to come to the vessels of reception. Yes, More than that, he says that charity is a matter of necessity, is what the Creator has necessities. Yes, it's a little strange, Why, how could it be that the Creator is actually lacking something? Right, so that's all it is. That is the true deficiency that is in him to receive from the created beings. Yeah, okay, Mar. What to work with the friends within reason or above reason with the friends who are your friends? I have friends in the tent. Is it more correct for me to talk to them, get to know them, what hurts them, what they're lacking within reason to connect to them too, and rather than looking at them the side and get heated up about them and constantly being in prayers to the Creator, and I can prevent that whole thing from simple conversations between us, meaning what's more correct to work with friends do you need? I want to connect with them, to love them, to be closer to them more and more, so we will be connected, so that we will have with a good atmosphere, so we'll have common advancement. What? For I feel that this is how it's correct. You feel according to your feeling. That's what you determine, you writing the tar and your feeling. I'm asking in the simplest possible way I can be less connected to them, simply in a humane way, and to work above reason all that I see not good in the friend I address to the Creator. I work with a prayer for the Creator to correct everything bad that I see, yes, that I experience from the 10. Why are you calling that above reason? It's exactly your reason why, when you see something bad and you're supposedly turning it into good, you're doing it with your mind, okay, but I'm working opposite to what my nature is telling me. My nature is disqualifying the friend, yeah, and I'm turning to the Creator for him to correct it, that I want to see good things in the friend. So you're working according to your brain. What according to your brain? Yes, but opposite my intellect, opposite my mind, opposite my reason. On the other hand, I can talk to the friend, see what is hurting him, bothering him, and to connect to him in a simple way, so I'm no longer thinking bad thoughts about him. I start to connect to him because I see what he's missing, what he's lacking. I'm asking, how should I work, this way or that way? So I'm asking you, how do you choose what to work on? I prefer the way that now I noticed that it's better the way that I connect with the friend to get to know him more, but on the other hand, I have less appeals to the Creator, less of a volcano inside of me. Well, you have something else. What do you think? I think he defined it correctly, but I think the volcano inside of him is better, because then he can turn to the Creator with it. That's the place of the prayer. That's a place to be nearing the Creator, who thinks who else. What's up with you all today? Without coming close in a simple way, he also won't discover his evil in him, that he can't. Then he also has to turn to the Creator. So what do you do, feeling that it's worthwhile to choose something that's not comfortable for the will to receive, that it's to turn to the Creator and for him to give a solution that's a simple solution? Yeah, I think it's not even important what it's more important to scrutinize the goal he wants to achieve, and if he's doing it with the friend, then it's even better. When him and the friend have the same goal, then maybe you will attain that. Okay, I see that something's going on today. There's something in the air. Yes, from what you said to it sounds like there's another solution that we're not at all talking about. It's just not clear what it is, how the appeal to the Creator needs to be. What's the work that we need to do in such a case? What is faith above reason? Be okay. No, maybe to simply concentrate. All difference is in the 10 to turn to the upper force without there being a feeling in the upper force, but to turn to him and ask him to connect us and to give the friends all the light he prepared for them, and also to try for it not to be for reward, but rather for him to see that suddenly how the tea is growing and flourishing, and you'll see all the good results, but rather from this work a person Bruce right is his right direction towards the friend. Maybe something like that. Okay. More, first of all, I want to say it's something that really keeps us engaged for some time now, that closeness with the friends, and also the extent in which you know these problems, difficulties and deficiencies. It could be that you're with a friend for years in a 10 and you don't even know what he's working at, or even some basic things in his life, and here it's really a question whether, because I think that without knowing the friend and the problems and the work and his troubles. What am I going to ask the Creator for? It sounds very amorphic. What? Give him spirituality, give him light. There has to be a certain incorporation, and I feel like it's really missing that on the humane level. We're like lacking this close, meaning I'm willing to be connected to everyone with all the friends, and only through the connection I'll be able to see the truth, what the path is, and from here I'll also learn how I can approach the Creator. It's like to start from that, and then there's an appeal to the Creator. Otherwise, what should I ask? For what? I'll shake it can quiet. Yeh writes in one of his letters that he commands his students to begin to delight in the joy of his friend and to incorporate truly in the personal experiences, and we also see this in other places that the friend is your spirituality. We also learn in the AR article that we have to fill all the needs of the friend so he won't have to be concerned with himself. Many hints to where a person should concentrate all his efforts, where he's going to. Confidence and the feeling of or feeling that releases the person from anything that the quality prevents from him that also needs to be worked on. Okay, can not just for this article, but almost to all the articles of Rash. There's a certain point in the article that talks about the work and above reason, and this point opens another stage in the work in a person, and everything we're constantly scrutinizing around this. What exactly is that work? For Adam, and many times there's this, it seems like it's not touching this work because it's something we have yet to reach. How will we come closer to the standing of faith above reason, of work above reason? Okay, I hear you. Who else? Yes, we can ask the friend how he wants to connect him, and one time it'll be this way, and another time it'll say the opposite even, but to be aimed to how the friend wants to connect with him. Yes, so in this way you reach the connection according to the desire of the friend. Okay, no. Well, I can look at the work of the friend as a way to adhere to his qualities as he merciful. So you are merciful in the fact that he's my friend. He's in the 10, he's there, and it seems to me and is revealed to me just to teach me a certain measure the qualities of the Creator, and I investigate him endlessly until I get this goal that I of the friend that I didn't see thus far, and what I feel now is part of this intensity of the what gift that I'm receiving from the friend. Okay, Turkey 6 women, Turkey 6 women. For it's written in the first paragraph that in the future the Creator brings the book of Torah and places it in his bosom. What does it mean that he places it in his bosom, the Torah? No help translating it. And the first paragraph, the Creator brings the book of Torah and places it in his bosom. So she's asking, what does it mean to that the Creator places the book of Torah in his bosom, that he's hugging it? Well, and he's saying that whoever engages in it will come and get his reward. Obviously, I don't know all these words, what their true interpretation is, but everyone engaging in the Torah will come and get his reward. Well, who wants to run to the Creator if that's what he's offering? Standing with the book of the Torah and accepting everyone, and throws out such a sentence. Right, he puts it in his bomb and says, whoever engages in it will come and get his reward. Who's willing? You're willing. Why? The Creator tells him that everything you do for yourselves, and they told him, dear God, give it to us in advance, and we will do. And he told them, you are fools. Whoever labored on the eve of Shabbat will eat on Ab, and whoever didn't, what will he eat on Shabbat? Better to run away from all this invitation. Okay, we will let go of it for now. What else do we have? So should we give announcements? Why announcements? What, the end of the lesson? That's what I was asking. No. Well, so announcements? No, I don't understand. What else do we have of the lesson? We have the stud if we want. Do we want or not? Raise your hands. Not much, but okay, let's read a bit. We're going to reading from the study of 10, and I'm actually working, friend. Sorry, I'm with you. I'm just doing my project work. We're reading in the study of the 10 volume 3 part 10. We are reading in the Hebrew version of it. Since we have no English, we'll do our best. We're in item 71 in the words of the and page 98 in the Hebrew of study. This the words of it is the V of the inclusive sag, and it is the her of hers, and then the two lower neck from the that is in UD with the filling of he of be, in the manner of internality with their externality as will descending to, become in the manner of towards which are v of s, inclusive in the depiction of which cls, in the manner of mode towards the, again 71, afterwards it is the v of the inclusive, sag which is v, and then the two, lower from the which is in ud with the fillings of he of be in the manner of internality with their externality as will descending to, become towards, these which are of s in the manner of which close in the secret of their towards item 72, and although the externality of the two parts of yud with a filling of their first are descended in the internality of the 10 lower parts of this and the internality of the two parts of ud descend into the internality of the 3 upper parts of this v as it is all in Gatria. 13 is known that there are 13 internality and 13 in externality, and although the internal 13 became external towards the two parts of the filling of yud of the first, he the last to the externality and internality in this manner. We're going to read 72 again, and although the externality of the two parts of ud with the filling of the first, he descended into the internality 10 parts of the lower ones of this v, and the internality of the two parts of the yud descend into the internality of 3 parts upper parts, which is the v, and it is all the 13. It is known that there is 13 in externality and 13 in internality, and although the internal 13 become external ones towards the two parts from the filling of yud of the first he, and the last one to their externality and their internality in this manner, but note that just like in Z, there is the inner and surrounding the internality of this v, also has this v of sag which is, including internal and surrounding sins. The externality of these two parts became internal within the 10 lower parts of this v in the internal manner, the internality of these two parts where they became internal from the last 3 upper ones of this that are in their bet, and includes the 3 and are in totality becoming one he, and this he became the manner of surrounding minds upon this again 73, but note that just like in theirs, that the inner and surrounding also the internality of this v of s including internal and surrounding, because the externality of these two parts became internal within the 10 lower parts of this v in the internal matter, but these two parts two internal parts which also became internal within the 3 upper parts of this v, turns out that there are 2 within 3 and their totality becomes 1 he, and this becomes surrounding and upon this v. Yep, item 74, and although the externality of this v which are 13 parts will be clarified later what is done with them, since here in this v there is internality and externality which is internal from bina, and the externality itself becomes the intern externality to the internality of bina again 74, and although ality of this v which are 13 parts will be clarified later in the matter of what happens with them, here in this v there is internality and externality which is the internality from bina, and the internality itself becomes the externality towards the internality of bina. 10. No in well. 75. 75. 75. Then the last he of the inclusive sag is of the inclusive s. H2 is by the example of the first, which are the 3 har first 3 in the first lines of he in the 3 lines of the middle of and the he, and the 3 lines of the lower ones in, and all 3 he's are in the secret of internality, and there's also another one in the matter of externality, and they are the 3 other he's divided in this manner. I going read it again. He, then the last har of the inclusive s, which is of the s inclusive, and she too is an example of the first he that are the 3 he's he in the 3 first lines, in the 3 middle lines, and he in the 3 lower lines, and all these 3 he's are in the manner of internality. There's also another in the manner of externality, and they are the 3 other he's divided in this manner. Chi. Questions. Yeah. S. What is the inclusive sag? He writes it the inclusive sag. The inclusive sag is what we learned in part 6. In part 6 I think that The inclusive sag includes in himself and in his internality, and he close in his internality with the what are you asking exactly? I don't understand the structure at he described now in s is this exist in or in all any place that's the structure of this inclusive sag. What place is this? That is the inclusive s. Yes, the inclusive s al together is the central. That before him there's the bestowing of the creator, or below there's the reception of the created being, and the s is the in is included of both. Yet now he's explained to us about this thing in the of. If I understand correctly, this is the place that he's depicting. It my questions is maybe in all the they also. Are they the same? Is it the same thing? No. In the world of not all the from the world of are included in. Yes, it seems like there's some part there and there's some that there isn't. That here for example, and there that are the same in between these two worlds, and the part that it's not the same thing. So why? Because it's supposed to be the correction of these. No, it's not for the correction of these. It's new revelations in the new level as time and lights that descend beyond the world of Nikim get coupled with were and are created, and they emerged from the shattering there. Yes, meaning it emerged from there. It was shattered. Yes, after the shattering they emerge. They come out. Okay, we will conclude with that. I see that. No. Okay, so with an announcement towards the conclusion, we are increasing joy. Dear friends, you're invited to our UNA World Unity Day for Increasing in Joy on Saturday, March 23rd. For details and registration, enter our site conventionc.1. Our broadcast for today at noon, the noon lesson, and at 5:30 p.m. Isra time, we're reading the test, and at 7:30 the Z will conclude with the so for